about education? Because you have ECD devolved,
yes,
but the larger learning and education matters are at the national government.
Yeah.
And as far as especially even infrastructure, in some counties, institutions, you've seen children learning under trees, sitting on rocks. How is it you complement each other to ensure that this is not a sector that's adversely affected, especially because it's growing a significant part of the populace to get even into employment?
Yeah, this has been a major challenge in terms of infrastructure. There is poor infrastructure in our education system. What I did in Kakamega County, I had a task force to look into these gaps.
Right.
And gaps were identified. And initially, because I didn't have a proper structure at the ECD level, it took me time to establish these structures at the ECD level. So I started supporting constructions of classrooms in primary schools, in secondary schools, supporting in bursary. But at the moment now, we have our structure, ECD structure there.
Yes.
So what we are doing now, we are addressing those ECD structures. We were forced to employ teachers. Initially, there was a court case, so it took us time, around 9 months, for us to start employing ECD teachers. So we had excess money at our disposal to support the national government function. But at the moment, it is very difficult.
Yeah.
So in Kakamega County now, we are focused on the ECDs and the polytechnics.
And talking about now healthcare, devolved, but early on in the system of governance, we saw the health workers arguing that the administrative part should have remained to the national government in as far as their matters. But I hear in your county, you've come up with Oparanya Care.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how you're faring and navigating the health issues.
Now, initially, the issue of health care, going back to national government, this was just a perception. And this was also being pushed by the national government. They actually wanted to remain with the bulk of the hospitals.
Healthcare, yeah.
But unfortunately, this had passed through the constitution, so there was no way they could manage that. So, but, and also some doctors. There was this perception that a doctor cannot report to a governor, as if a governor, as if at the national level, a doctor reports to the president. You know, that was the perception. But I think as realities have set in now, and after the structure they had, and their salaries, they have been given the salary increase, I think things are settling. But in Kakamega, as you know, we have started a construction of a big hospital,
right,
which is going to cost us over 8 billion Kenya shillings. And it's there, and as soon as it is operational, I know.
When is it likely to be operational?
Yeah, the first phase will be ready by the end of this year.
Okay.
It will be operational. By then, we will have spent about 3 billion Kenya shillings. So far, we have spent 2.3 billion on that facility. And we have also upgraded most of the level 4 hospital. Now, Oparanya Care, this is a social protection strategy to mothers and infants.
Right.
Mothers and their infants below the age of 18 months. When I was at the Ministry of Planning, I realized that the maternal and infant mortality was very high in Kakamega. So I decided, what do I do when I became governor to sort out this problem? And I started this Oparanya Care in that mothers were encouraged. I had to find out what was the problem, why were these rates higher. Found out mothers were delivering at their homes, and some of them were very poor, some of them had already had HIV, and we had also minors who had children. Yeah? those below 18 years. They are quite a number. So I had to look at all these categories and see how do I help them. So through support, technical support from the UNICEF, I decided that why shouldn't I set aside some funds to help these mothers? Mm-hmm. So I set aside $1 million, about 100 million per every year, to see that to attract these mothers to come to hospitals. So as soon as they come to hospitals and deliver there, they are given 2,000 shillings mm-hmm. to help the kids, provision of the kids at that, as a towel and clothing and so on.
Yeah.
And then they are promised that when they come for immunization,
right.
then the time they are, it's a computer platform, e-platform, which triggers those who are beneficiaries, their mobile phones, when immunization of the child is due. So they will trigger the phone and the mother will be informed, please come in such a day for a child to be immunized, and then by the time they bring the child, they get 2,000 shillings.
So you've talked about even working with UNICEF, and despite the challenges, what I'm hearing from you then, there is more governors can do, despite all of these other challenges you've described, in creative fashion to still help their people, isn't it?
Definitely. There are so many innovative, but you can do all this when you have the money. So the problem is that you can be innovative enough, but when the money is not there, mm-hmm. even this Oparanya care, I'm in arrears of 253 million, because there's no money. And when I meet the mother, they tell me nowadays we don't get the money, mm-hmm. and the politics come in, they say, oh, now you know Oparanya has eaten your money, that's why you are not getting it. Yeah. Yeah.
So there are challenges.
Yeah, there are challenges.
Let's discuss the leadership structure. Some of the governors have spoken to get a sense that there is overrepresentation in that you have the governor, the senator, there's a woman rep, you know, the MCAs, and of course at the national level, the MPs, that there's so much, you know, as far as representation, and some feel even duplication in a sense. Some roles could be played by other levels. Do you share that sentiment?
I don't think we have overrepresentation. If you look at countries that have developed units, like maybe America is not the best example, but Nigeria, even South Africa. South Africa, where we borrowed a lot, our constitution. Mm-hmm. You'll find that even at the devolved unit, you will have a Senate, you will have members of the county assembly. But maybe what I would say that we would have found another way of helping the women to be in parliament than creating this seat of woman rep, because its functions are not very clear. And in any case, as a representative, you do not represent a particular sex. You represent everybody that votes for you.
Right.
So I will say that a woman will represent my people more than myself, or a woman will represent the other woman more than myself.
Yes.
Because I'm a man. No. As soon as you are elected,
so you feel the woman rep position is a little bit misplaced, misinformed?
It's fairly misinformed, the fact that she's voted for in the entire county, and also the senator. Yeah, the senator will actually have done that functions quite adequately, instead of creating this post. And also maybe what I would say, we have many constituencies. Maybe the constituencies we will have retained them at 210. The way we will have done alignment. I'm hopeful that as we come to the next review, maybe this should be looked at. And
but are the counties also too many? Should there be a review to cut down from 47 and perhaps reduce the units to even 14?
I will not mind. Let me tell you, I will not mind even if they reduce the counties. Like, for example, I sometimes, if I had money, I feel that the area I have is quite small. If I had money, and the fact that I've worked at the national level as a minister, maybe, yeah, I would need a much bigger area and more effective area. And maybe if the counties were cut down to 14, although it would be very difficult to go that route.
Because no one would want to sit
ground
and
yeah, but I wouldn't mind to reduce them from 47 to 14, or leave the 47 and have another layer and maybe call it something else, so that there is representation at the legislative level at the 14, so that the other 47 become just administrative centers.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you make, or what do you think became of what was perceived as an excitement, perhaps, or over enthusiasm by the MCAs early on? You alluded to it when it came to impeaching governors and keeping them in check. We're not seeing too much of that now.
You know,
what was the change?
The realities on the ground is that they realized that impeaching a governor was not as easy as they thought. And that excitement that they had also evaporated as soon as they realized their limitations, what they can do and what they cannot do.
Yes.
And I think it's because of also their training. When we had the transition authority, I think the transition authority, when they went to train them, they went and told them, these are your big people, and you can impeach the governor, you can do anything you want, and so on. But they have realized that there are checks and balances.
Right.
As much as they can do that, but they need the governor also needs them. So it's a check and balances act. And also at the national level, it's the same way.
Yeah.
Yes.
What would you say has been the biggest positive in as far as devolution is concerned in light of your county, and what you count as a success? The
positive success that I feel that we have achieved at all county levels is that now the people think very much that there's government near them. At least if they have a problem, and you find that even if they have a security problem, they will walk into a governor's office. Before it was quite difficult, and they feel the governor will listen to them than if they went to the police direct, because the police are just employees, or if they went to the chief. And the fact that they have elected the governor will listen to them. So the people feel that they are now there is near government, they are closer to government. Secondly, there have been significant achievement in all counties, at least one way or another. You'll find that infrastructure has improved. Some counties have started industries, they are here and there. A few roads have been tarmacked that were not there. Water services are now closer to the people. So overall, there has been some achievement.
Yeah, I'll take you back to the question of power closer to the people, because one of the concerns, as we were having a discussion with some young people, and they felt county governments, yes, were to bring power closer to the people, and so that there's not then too much focus and do or die kind of a mentality at the national politics. But we still have that, even from the last election last year, the presidential election. So that for you, what is the disconnect? If power and resources are closer to the people, why is that national and presidential politics still so emotive?
You see, the essence of devolution was that take power and resources closer to the people. But if you look at the budgeting process, the money allocated to the counties, this has not been effectively done. And people still feel that they need their own to be president for them to benefit.
Okay.
And actually, if more resources went to the counties, and even power, you remember before the issue of flags became an issue, a very minor thing, that the counties should not fly, governors should not fly the national flag. And you can imagine a whole National Assembly is debating that for 2 days. Oh, the governors should not be called Your Excellency, you know. These are minor things that should not take. And it meant that, you know, when you see such a things come in the nation, is actually what is being thought up there.
Yeah.
That's the thinking. So I think the best way would have been to leave, to have more resources in the county, leave more counties do their work, the president to have more interactions with the governor, be open and say, this is what I'm planning to do as the national government, what are you planning to do, so that there is synergy, both at the national and the county government.
Right.
This has never happened. And then there was suspicion all the time between the national government and the county government. Yeah. And this suspicion created a division that is not supposed to be there. Yes.
So being your second term in office, setting up and bringing new officials, because you did do some changes in as far as even as your cabinet is concerned, what would you say are some of the maybe challenges or failures that in the first 5 years you've learned and are now rectifying to be able to make devolution for Kakamega County work better?
The first thing that when we went in, for example, when I went in, I didn't know many people in Kakamega County.
Right.
So I obviously rushed to form my cabinet, and I established there were major weaknesses even in my own setup. Yeah, which I have tried now to sort out the balancing and so on.
Right.
Which people I want in a particular area and so on. So that was a big challenge, but that's something now I have realized that I made a mistake, and I'm hopeful that I've corrected that.
Yes.
Secondly, I did rush in some projects, thinking that these projects might have an impact on the people. For example, I wanted to help my own people, Mumia Sugar Company, and I rushed in, gave them 200 million. It became a big issue. And I've also learned that before you help your people, thinking you are helping them, you must be very careful, because the same people will turn against you, or when you are being roasted, they will not be there to help you. So I've also learned that you need a lot of public participation, especially if you are coming up with a new idea, with a new innovation, so that you are able to move with the people.
With the people.
And also consultation and even consulting with your fellow governors is very important. Maybe they have learned something that you don't know. It's very important that you share information sometimes before you make a decision. Even as county governments, we should be able to interact with the national government officials, which was not there initially. But I'm now hopeful, maybe with now the opposition and the government coming together, the historical handshake between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta, I think this will help this country.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being strong, 5 years on, you'd rate devolution, the state of devolution, as what?
I can give it 6.
You'll give it a 6.
Yeah,
so there's
slightly above average.
Yeah.
But there is room to improve.
All right.
Yes.
Finally, this is your second and last term as governor. What next for you?
My main concern this next 5 years is to complete my own projects. I'm unlikely to come up with a very new project. I want to complete what I started, but what I want to make sure that at least water is in every home, at least electricity is in every home. These are my 2 flagship projects that I need to face in the next 5 years.
All right.
Yeah.
And after that?
After that, as I've told you, I'm considering. I'm not retiring. I've said that I'm going to vie for presidency come 2022.
Okay.
Yes.
And we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making the time for us.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck, and Keep representing the people of Kakamega County.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you for the
appreciate it.
yes.